Yeah, Alex, can you just address where you feel like Baker's mindset is, or how he's doing coming off of a four-pick game? And
Yeah.
just wondering also if if the fact that on two of them, DPJ was interfered with a bit, does that mitigate any of those, or what happened last week, or maybe not?
It's tough. Anytime you throw four, you throw three, you throw one in a game, you feel terrible as a quarterback. The fact that there was potential, PI on those, I guess you can asterisk it a little bit, but at the same time, we ultimately, at the end of the day, we can't turn the ball over, and he knows that as well as anybody. But it's tough when you do. The thing you got to do is just like shoot or shoot. You got to keep shooting. So his confidence, won't waver at all. You got to trust his decision making and not let that shake you up at all as a quarterback.
And do you strike a balance between talking about it during the week and not talking about it at all, so it doesn't get in his head?
Yeah, there is that fine line. You obviously address it after the game when you're making corrections, and then you move on. And that's how you have to think as a quarterback too. How do I get better from it? And then I got to put it at the back of my mind and know how I'm going to play better moving forward because of it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Cam Justice is next.
Hey, Alex. I talked to Baker about this. And I was just wondering on your end, he's been wearing that shoulder harness for several weeks now and obviously getting adjusted to it with that. And he said that with that harness in mind, there hasn't been any new footwork drills or techniques implemented. But I'm just wondering if there is something that you guys could do to maybe help him navigate and not overcorrect or, overcompensate with that harness in mind and limiting that range of motion for him.
Yeah, it definitely shows. It's definitely handcuffed him a little bit with his ability to get that left side out of the way. There's a couple of things that are unique to his throwing style that he does, and that he's successful doing it. Those are technique things. Yeah, we can work on those, but hopefully next year without the harness, you'll see, Baker back to normal with his normal throwing mechanics. But it's definitely something that's hindered him. He's fought through. Got a lot of respect for the fact that he's battled through that, and we know he's injured. But that's where I'll leave that. But yeah, there are some things you can do to help him there. We've tried those as well.
I was wondering if you kept that in mind, not trying to overcompensate, knowing that next season he'll have that range of motion back and won't need that. Is that something that you guys didn't want to do too much and maybe step on the toes of the work that you did with his footwork so far?
Yeah, his feet have been really good. That's not really the issue right now. I think it's just him finding a way to be functional with that brace on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cam. We'll go to Ashley Bastow.
Hey, Alex, kind of following up on that. I know Baker did mention his feet, I think on that red zone interception on Green Bay, that he felt like his feet weren't there. I guess, like you mentioned that his footwork is good, but are you seeing anything on some of those missed throws like that with his feet? And then if you can kind of just talk about his evolution over these last couple of years with that.
Yeah, it's gotten really good. I wouldn't say it was his best game from a footwork standpoint last week. A lot of that's the fact he had not practiced for 2 weeks. I think then you kind of fall back into some old habits unless you're doing them daily. But that was addressed, and moving forward, I know that's an area of emphasis for us. Get the feet back to being a good base, good sound, stepping up in those pockets. He just happened to step wrong and kind of came off balance on the one red zone interception. But for the most part, he's done a great job since we got here of adapting to this footwork, and it showed great rewards. Unfortunately, on that one, it wasn't his best, his best drop and set.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Tom Withers, go ahead.
Thank you, Bob. Hey, Alex, Happy New Year, man.
Thank you.
Hey, as a Pittsburgh native, you probably have as good an appreciation as anybody for what Big Ben has meant to Steeler Nation. What do you appreciate, Alex, about his longevity, his game, and everything he's done throughout his career?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just his consistency. He's, rarely is he going to miss a game. He plays hurt. He plays for his teammates. He's been a great leader for that organization, a great player for a lot of years. Got a lot of respect for Ben. He's from Pittsburgh, being a Pittsburgh guy, so to speak. When I do get home, I see a lot of the news over the summer when I'm home back in Pittsburgh. I've always kind of followed him from afar and got a lot of respect for his game.
And just as an opposing coach, as part of you feel like, thank God we might not have to face that guy again?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame player, and if that's the case next year, if it is the case, who's hard to tell, then
Yeah.
it'll be good for the Browns.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Next up, Nate Ulrich.
Hey, Alex. Just kind of going back to the answers you had about Baker and the shoulder harness affecting his throwing. The shoulder injuries and the harness, as time has gone on, do you think that it has affected him more than you thought it would at the time it all kind of happened when we asked you about it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's something you would say, hey, can you put me in a harness and let me go out and play? If we had the choice, if he had the choice, obviously you wouldn't have it on. So it's like anything else. If I hurt my right hand, eventually I'll start to learn how to eat with my left using the fork. So it's still, I'd rather eat with my right hand. So it has, I'm sure, affected him. You try to downplay it as much as possible. He does still make really good throws with it on. But obviously, to not have it on would be beneficial.
So you think the harness is affecting him more than the actual injuries? Is that right?
Well, I think the harness is because of the injuries, yes.
Okay. And so one thing you said earlier made me wonder how much conversation or thought has been put into you guys are kind of maybe have to rebuild his mechanics a little bit because they have had to change as a result of this equipment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When he's able to get out of the harness, like you alluded to, you said next year, you're hoping that he's going to be able to get back to himself. I mean, is that kind of a concern? Like you kind of have to rebuild his mechanics a little bit?
No, I don't think so. I think that'll come very naturally. It'll come back very quickly.
Thank you, Nate. Scott Petrick, you're up.
Hey, Alex, I saw Randy Moss on TV the other day saying he thought Donovan should have had different technique and run harder to get through that ball or get through that route on that last interception. What's your take on that?
I mean, I got a lot of respect for Randy Moss. Obviously, he was a great player in this league, Hall of Famer. I think the fact that the guy, was interfered with and pulled at the last second didn't allow Donovan to come out of the cut with the intensity that Randy's speaking of. I think it was that last little tug that got him.
And, the Steelers' run defense is at the bottom of the league, but you guys have had some struggles running against them. Why do you think that is?
They're good up front. There's no question. Cam Hayward's one of the best in the league. Watts, exceptional. 56 is a great player. They have some good players up front. They do some good things. Our run game has been hit and miss for whatever reason, against this crew. And that's something we've addressed, especially during our bye week, is having to run the ball better against this opponent.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Back to Mary Kay Cabot.
Yeah, Coach, just wondering, it seemed like Richard resurfaced in this past game. And I'm curious to know, where has he been most of the rest of the season? Has it been something he was doing or not doing? And now that he had that kind of game, do you think you can rely on him a little bit more going forward?
Yeah, I think we can definitely rely on Higgy. He's a guy that just shows up and makes the plays when they come to him for the most part. And I know he and Bake have a really good feel for each other, especially when it comes onto the field. So yeah, I could see him, stepping up here for us and in the run here as we get down through these last few games and playing well. I don't know if it was anything he, did during the course of the year that hasn't allowed him to be as productive, but I do know when his number's called, he makes plays for us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Jake Trotter's next.
Yeah, Alex, I think I heard you were saying, you've done some different things to help Baker with his mechanics because of the harness. Could you kind of be more specific about what you mean there? Things.
No, I'm not going to get into mechanics and technique, Jake. I apologize, but there's a lot of stuff that we try to work on, and it's just quarterback talk. But you could just see in his mechanics now that left side gets stuck in there at times, and it's a struggle for him at times.
Okay, so fair to say that you just had to do a lot of different things this year because of that harness, because of the shoulder injury, than you would otherwise.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Jake. We'll take one more. Marla Reitner.
Yeah, Alex, just a quick one. I mean, I know Jarvis had a 100-yard game not that long ago, but I mean, there's been some times this year where he didn't look like himself. How do you think he's doing now? I mean, was that knee thing? It'll take a while to get over.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it was. I think we're seeing Juice playing at a higher level now than he was earlier in the year because he's healthier at this point, and the knee definitely was something that bothered him early on.
And did he just slip on that red zone on that one interception, or I'm just curious what you saw on that one.
Yeah, he slipped. That's a field there. One thing I'll tell you, I was proud of those guys. For a field, when you go in and you play there, it's extremely slippery. And if you don't wear the right shoes, you're in trouble. And our guys made the effort to put on the most uncomfortable shoe that you can wear, which are the 7 studs with long cleats. And I think we counted 4 guys that slipped. That was one of them. He was trying to put on the brakes to come back to the ball on the interception, but I don't think that's what caused it.